So today in Israel, roughly there are about 150, let's say early to mid-stage agri-tech startups, ag-tech startups. And these guys are doing amazing things. You can split them into two. Some of them are coming from the universities. We have great institutions for agriculture all over the place, especially talking about the Weizmann Institute, which is world known for having some of the best researchers, the best agriculture researchers in the world. And then you have all those data scientists that we talked about before, who are thinking about, why does a farmer needs to walk in an orchard, which is, let's say, 40 or 50 acres big, and just look at the trees and say, what, I think this tree needs more water and this tree is sick with a disease. Let's just put some drones up in the air. Let's do some computer vision and just give it to him on his smartphone. Why does he need to walk for 3 or 4 days and just do like that and probably miss like 90% of the faults that he has in his orchard, and just increase his yields? And just like we've spoken before, by the year of 2050, I hope we'll live through it, right? All of us are kind of old in this conversation. The world population is going to be 10 billion. So, and the way agriculture is operated during, let's say, the past century, harmed our planet severely. I'm not even talking about climate changes that's been a snowball effect, right? But the gas emission and so on and so forth. So things have to change, and we need to increase yields, but at the same time use less resources to do so. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that when you know that you have more mouths to feed with each year passing? I mean, we lived in the 80s. We remember that we are the world, we are the children, right? Like half of the world couldn't even eat. So the only solution to that is innovation. No other. So either you increase the yields of the farmer by giving him the technology to do so, or you building great companies that will help him deal with the reduction of the workforce, the resource that are dwindling all the time, and climate change. A lot of places where there were tons of rain, they don't have it anymore. Like I was talking to wine manufacturers and in France, they had to bring new varieties to France because they can't grow them anymore in the regions of Bordeaux and all those places. So think about the wine that you drank, you will never drink again. That's the reality, because they don't get enough rain to grow those grapes. So something has to be done. And then we talked about the sexier, verticals of enterprise and and marketing and sales, but farming is the essence of our lives. I mean, if you can eat, then you can survive. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to promote those startups and try to get them out of Israel as soon as we can, so they can fulfill that mission. That's what we do in the Rinnovation Group. The biggest issue that we have right now is the problem with pollination. Because of the urbanization process that we are still going through, and we'll probably still be going through in the next decades, we are endangering the bees of being non-existent. And the problem with bees is that although we were able to do to them what men did to horses and chickens and so on and so forth, we weren't being able to control them to a point where we say, do this and do that. I mean, even if you are a farmer and the time of blossoming is coming, and you call the bee man and you tell them, look, spread some beehives in my fields, you can never know what the bees are doing, and you cannot control them. They are wild animals still, right? And something that we have to understand, no bees, no food. Easy as that. I mean, you don't have enough labor, you don't have enough workforce for people to go away with whatever and just, take powder from one flower to another. That cannot be done. And so you see Israeli startups who are doing either one of the things. They either trying to make the bees to act more like we would like them to act by using artificial intelligence, or trying to replace them. One of the startups that I'm working with, their name is Edit. They already raised the Series A funding round. What they do is they have created artificial pollination on their own by using arms, robotic arms, who are basically doing that. So what they do is each year they take powder from flowers, they preserve this powder, and then they come with robots who spread them. And the problem with doing that is that you can't use drones, because drones are not sufficient enough to go in the distance which is close enough to the flower as we speak. It might change in 3 or 4 years from now, but right now they can't do it because they can, get tangled in one of the branches. They're not clever enough at the moment. So they use arms, and they're trying to replace the bees themselves. But other startups who are we working with, one of them is called, the name is Bumblebee. They're trying to get the bees to be more smart and behave as much as we would like them to be. So one day they might be just like our dogs, right? You say the dogs go there, and that's what he does because he's been trained to for thousands of years to do so. But you cannot tell the bee go and to that field. She might go to another field. They're wild. So this is number one. The second thing that we're seeing is a lot of movement towards precision agriculture. This is something that Israeli startups, again, they thrive at, because just like you said, we are very good at manipulating data. Data can be quite scary when you are a farmer. Think about that. You are 60 years old. All you know how to do is grow stuff. That's what you've been doing for 40, 50, I don't know how many years. You just grow stuff. You grow corn, you grow wheat, I don't know what, doesn't really matter. And then comes, those geeks, those nerds from wherever, and they tell you, look at the data that I can give you, and it says, you know what, I don't care about data. What does that data mean to me? Okay? And it's hard work convincing him that with the help of this data, he can be a lot more efficient. But once you are able to do so, you hit the jackpot. Because again, the need is amazing. One of the companies that we work with, the name is C3, and they work sometimes with precision agriculture, with drones and with ATVs that films orchards, and they're working with companies in Brazil that have farms of 1 million trees. Can you understand that number? 1 million orange trees or 1 million lemon trees. You got to understand that number. 1 million trees, and think about that. Each tree is like a factory of its own. Sorry. And it has a life expectancy of about 50 years, and 1 year it gets enough rain to grow 100 oranges, and the other year, because a pest kind of was very hungry, it can only grow 50, right? And this variation is something that, think about that you have a factory, right? Or you have 5 factories, for instance. Just think about Industry 4.0. And the only way that it works is by walking, on the lines, looking like that, and you go home. I mean, this is impossible, right? How can you run your business like that? But this is what they do as farmers. That there's no other way for them to do so. So you see a lot of very, very smart people, and usually they are in the age of 40, 50, they already been around, and they say, you know what, I want to create something which provides a lot of impact, a global impact, something real. That's what I want to do now that I'm 40, 50. When I was 20, 30, then I've done some social media stuff, all those sexier things, but now I want to create something that would provide a global impact, and that's what they're doing. Yeah, well, you're looking at two things. First of all, and I'm very much with you on the alternative protein movement. So today in Israel, we are world leading in what you say, print-in meat. Okay, so in my opinion, in 10 years from now, we will not be eating real meat. We will be eating meat that was produced in a lab, because we cannot continue doing that. I mean, you see me, I mean, I'm eating a lot of meat, but I can understand why, if I continue to do this, then our world will collapse eventually. We cannot keep on doing that. So in 10 years from now, there's no point in mind that the meat that all of us are gonna eat is not gonna be real meat. It's gonna be artificial meat grown in a lab. So that's number one. Number two, and this is something that also is becoming real strong, is you see new kind of startups, either biological startups or chemical startups. For instance, I've been working with a startup called Taritech, and what she's done, she's a chemist, by the way, and she's been able to find a substance when you break it in a closed environment, in a pallet of like strawberries, you can increase the life expectancy of a strawberry in 3 days. I think that is if I make a calculation, that is something like $100 billion if it works. Because think about that. Today, the world leader in producing strawberries is China, but they cannot export any strawberry. It can't be done because it takes like 6 or 7 days, even if you take a plane, to reach from China to Europe or you name it, and then the strawberry will never survive. So if she can do that, think about how, I mean, this is a game changer. So this is number two. And number three is obviously genetics. You see people basically breeding new type of varieties that can be, I mean, that are able to live with less water or more, you know, they can handle pests better. And stuff like that. You know, I used to kid myself. One day somebody is going to invent an orange with spikes, you know, just like roses. I was, I think, 20 at the time. I wish I knew what's going on right now when I kid myself back then. I might be a billionaire by now. So this is the three areas that I think by 2030 we'll see a lot of impact